Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are going to try and do something a little ambitious. We're going to try and solve the biggest existential crisis you've probably had since you were, 7 years old, staring at the ceiling in the dark.
That is a pretty bold opening.
I mean it, though. We are heading straight into the deep end today. And when I say deep end, I'm talking about the ultimate questions. The ones that usually keep you up at 2 in the morning.
Right.
Like, what actually happens at the moment of death? Does the soul die? Is birth a fresh start? Or are we just sort of picking up where we left off?
It is the heaviest topic imaginable. But what's fascinating about the material we're covering today is that it argues these shouldn't be scary questions at all.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at them through the right lens, which is what we're going to try to do, they are actually incredibly liberating.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
Because honestly, reading through our source material for today, I felt a mix of total fascination and I admit a little bit of intimidation.
Yeah.
We are looking at the Witness Diary, or Sakshi Diary, specifically Part 2. Now, just for context, for everyone listening, Part 1 of this text was very different, right?
Completely different. Part 1 is what you might expect from a standard mindfulness manual. It is all about daily life.
Yeah.
Drinking tea, washing dishes.
Yeah.
It's about being present in the mundane. Very approachable, very grounded.
Right, it's the whole chop wood, carry water stuff. But Part 2 just takes the gloves off.
It really does.
It takes that same skill, that ability to be a witness, and applies it to the two most intense events a human being can possibly experience, birth and death.
Exactly.
It's like we graduated from driving go-karts in a parking lot to suddenly being thrown into a Formula One race.
That is a great analogy because the skill set is technically exactly the same. It is observation. But the stakes are infinite.
So the mission for this deep dive is to unpack the philosophy of non-duality, or Advaita, as it's presented in this text.
Right.
We want to see how this specific source claims we can transform death from this terrifying the end screen into what it calls a conscious exit.
And that word exit is key here. It implies agency. It implies you aren't just being dragged away against your will. You are choosing to leave the room.
Right.
But to understand how one actually pulls that off, we have to start with the source's definition of reality, and this is where it gets a little trippy.
Okay, let's unpack this. The source centers on this Sanskrit concept of Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, which translates roughly to
All is Brahman, or everything is one. This is the absolute bedrock of non-dual philosophy.
okay.
The text argues that at the fundamental level, there is no me and you or living and dead. There is just one infinite consciousness.
Right, and this is where I usually check out, to be honest.
Why is that?
Because usually when people talk about oneness, it sounds very abstract. It sounds like a bumper sticker. You know we're all one man.
Right, it can feel very cliche.
Exactly. Yeah. But the source uses this analogy of the space in the wall that actually made it click for me in a way I hadn't really thought about before.
It is a brilliant analogy because it makes it so tangible. So imagine a vast open sky. We call it Akash, or space. It is everywhere. It is completely boundless.
Okay.
Now imagine you build a house right in the middle of a field. You put up 4 walls and a roof. You have created a room.
Okay, I'm visualizing it. I have a room.
Now here's the question. Did you create new space inside that room? Did you manufacture space that wasn't there 5 minutes ago?
No. I just walled off a section of the space that was already there.
Precisely, you enclosed it. Now, if you tear the walls down 10 years later, does the space inside the room die? Does it disappear?
No. It serves its sentence, I guess.
Exactly.
It just merges back. Or actually, it doesn't even merge. It just is what it always was. The wall was the only thing that changed. The space didn't care about the wall at all.
And that is exactly how the source explains birth. When a baby is born, we tend to think, oh, a new soul has been created, a brand new entity.
Right, a blank slate.
But the text says absolutely not. No new soul is created. The soul or consciousness is that infinite space.
So birth is just...
Birth is simply the construction of a new wall, the body. It encloses the same ancient infinite consciousness that has always been there.
So I'm not me. I'm just a cup of ocean water that thinks it's separate because it happens to be in a cup.
That is it. That is the whole concept. And this really flips the script on how we view family dynamics too. And I will warn you, the text gets pretty radical here. It challenges our deepest emotional attachments.
Yeah, I really wanted to bring this up
Yeah.
because it says the father, the mother, and the infant, they are all the exact same Brahman.
Right. We look at a family and we see 3 separate people. We see a hierarchy. We see a lineage. But the source says the father is Brahman, the mother is Brahman, And the baby playing in the crib is that same Brahman, just in a new enclosure.
Wow.
It actually asks a rhetorical question. If the ocean makes waves, does one wave get attached to another wave?
Okay, I have to pause here. Because honestly, that feels a little cold to me.
How so?
Well, why would one wave be attached to another wave? Because I'm a human being, not water. If I'm that parent wave, I care a lot about that baby wave.
Of course.
Telling you it's just water doesn't make me worry less about my kid. It feels like it just strips the love right out of the equation.
I completely understand that reaction. It is the most natural human response you could have. But the source isn't trying to strip the love away. It is trying to strip the suffering away.
What's the difference in this context?
The source defines that suffering as moha, or delusion, and attachment. Suffering comes from forgetting that we are water. We get obsessed with the shape of the wave.
Right, the personality.
Exactly. The personality, the body, the specific role. We think this is my child or this is my parent and I cannot survive without them.
So it's the possessiveness, the mindness of it all.
Exactly. The witness diary is trying to get you to see the water, not just the wave. It is saying that birth isn't the arrival of a stranger that you have to hoard and protect. It is the arrival of the same essence that is already you. It is meant to be a comfort. The idea that you are surrounded by yourself rather than a lesson in detachment.
Okay, I can actually
Yeah.
see that. It's less about I don't care about you and more about I recognize you are eternal, so I don't have to be terrified of losing you.
Precisely. You hit the nail on the head.
So if birth is just a wall going up, then death must be the wall coming down. But here is the part that I think most people struggle with, and the source actually addresses this directly. It's the yeah, but question.
The question of what if I'm not enlightened?
Exactly. It is very easy to say, I am infinite space when I'm sitting comfortably on my couch doing a deep dive.
Right.
But if I haven't fully realized that truth, if I haven't reached that absolute state of I am Brahman, and then I get hit by a bus, what happens to me?
That's a very fair question.
Do I just dissolve into the ether? Because I still feel very much like me.
This is where the text gets technical, but in a very practical way. It introduces the concept of the Jivatma.
The Jivatma. The text throws this term around a lot. Can we break that down? What is it really?
Think of the Jivatma not as a separate entity, but as a bundled identity. The source uses another term, Antakarana, to describe your inner machinery, your ego, your memory, your specific personality quirks.
So the Antakarana is the software running on the hardware.
That is a perfect metaphor. Your body is the hardware. The Antakarana is the operating system. It's your memories, your likes, your dislikes, your grudges. Now, the Jivatma is what happens when that software refuses to shut down.
Okay. Explain that a bit more.
If you die and you are still very attached to that software, like I'm a father, I love pizza, I'm afraid of the dark, I didn't finish my novel.
Right.
That bundle doesn't just dissolve. That persistence of memory and desire creates the Jivatma. It is the you that persists because it still strongly believes it is separate.
So you don't just dissolve into nothingness if you aren't ready.
No. The universe preserves that data, essentially. And this is exactly why the practice of the witness diary is so crucial.
The journaling.
Well, the text isn't just asking you to write things down for the sake of record keeping. It is mental training. It is the active practice of constantly separating the consciousness from the software.
It's like a rehearsal for the main event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about how we naturally talk. We say, I am hungry, I am tired, I am dying. We are completely identifying the I with the condition of the body.
Yeah, we fuse them together.
The witness practitioner spends a lifetime correcting that script. They say, I am observing the body being hungry. I am observing the mind being tired.
It sounds a little like a semantic trick, though. Does just changing the words really change the experience?
It changes the neural pathways over time. It creates distance. If you do this for 20 years, you create a massive gap between you and the experience.
Right.
So when the ultimate separation happens, which is death, it doesn't feel like a foreign invasion. It feels incredibly familiar.
Because you have been essentially dying to the body every single day.
Yes, you have been practicing that exact distance. So when the physical separation actually occurs, there is no panic.
You're just ready.
The practitioner thinks, I know this feeling. I have been watching this body from a distance for years. Now the distance is just becoming physical.
Which leads us to the absolute climax of the source material. I want to slow down here because the text walks us through the specific visualization of death. And it's not grim, but it is intense.
Very intense.
It contrasts an unconscious death with a conscious death.
It is a really powerful scene. The unconscious death is what we typically imagine. Fear, confusion, clinging to the bed sheets, absolutely terrified of the lights going out.
Because if you think you are the body, then the body failing feels like you are being permanently destroyed.
Exactly.
But the witness experiences it completely differently. The text actually gives us the internal monologue of the dying witness, and I want to read this paraphrase because it genuinely gave me chills.
Go ahead.
So the witness is lying there, the body is shutting down, and they are thinking, I am watching this experience. I cannot write this in my physical diary anymore because my hands won't work, but I am writing it in my awareness.
That is the ultimate shift. They aren't the victim of the event, they are simply the audience.
And they continue, I am observing the separation from the gross body. I am seeing the old, lifeless body, and I know I was never that body.
It is profound. The source describes this as a conscious death. It completely redefines death not as the end, but as an exit.
An exit.
Think about the difference there. If you are thrown out of a building that is terrifying, if you walk to the door and exit, it is just a transition. The witness is just walking to the door.
But where does that door actually lead? Because this is the big payoff. The source lays out two very specific paths depending on how clean your slate is.
Right.
We have the broken pot scenario and the conscious traveler scenario.
Let's look at the first one. This matches the space and wall analogy we started with. The source says, imagine a clay pot. Inside the pot is space. Outside is space. If you break the pot, what happens to the space inside?
It instantly becomes one with the outside space. You can't even tell where one ends and the other begins.
Exactly. This is moksha, or complete liberation. The text says this happens if you're Antakana, that inner software is completely zero at the moment of death.
Zero. Like absolutely nothing left.
Nothing,
Yeah.
no desires, no ego, no I regret. If the software is completely uninstalled, then when the hardware breaks, boom, the plot breaks. The light merges with the light. You just return to the source.
That sounds really intense. Total dissolution. It sounds peaceful, sure, but also for someone like me who has a mortgage and a cat and a whole lot of unfinished business, it sounds almost impossible.
Most people feel that way.
Right. Like, what if I'm not there yet? What if I still really like pizza, or I'm deeply worried about my kids?
Then you are not the broken pot, you are the conscious traveler. This brings us to the second outcome for the Jivatma we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
If the pot breaks, but the shape of the water remains because of your desires or your identity, you don't merge instantly.
So what happens to you then?
You move. The source describes it as an aware traveler moving to the next stop. But here is the crucial difference between this and a normal unconscious rebirth. There is no fear.
Wait, why no fear? If I'm still me and I'm floating around without a body, shouldn't I be completely terrified?
Not if you know the mechanism. The source uses the analogy of a traveler changing vehicles. Imagine you are driving a car and the car breaks down completely. Smoke everywhere, total engine failure.
Okay, I'm with you.
If you think you are the car, you are screaming, you're yelling, I am broken, I am dead. But if you know you are the driver, what do?
I get out, I grab my bag, I call a taxi.
Exactly. You get out and you get into a taxi. You don't scream, I am dying, because you know you aren't the car. You are the passenger.
Right.
The Jivatma is the passenger carrying their luggage, their karma, their desires to the next vehicle.
That is actually surprisingly comforting logic. Even if I'm not fully enlightened, just knowing that I am the passenger and not the vehicle changes the entire experience of the transition.
Precisely. And that is why the text emphasizes that the goal of knowledge isn't necessarily to become a saint overnight. It isn't to build a bigger, smarter ego. It is just to erase the identification with the vehicle.
It really circles back to that idea of the diary. The more you practice observing your life, your anger, your joy, your breakfast, the more you strengthen that passenger muscle.
And that is the true actionable takeaway here. You don't have to wait for your deathbed to do this. The source challenges us to do it right now.
Right.
When you get angry, don't say I am angry. Say I am witnessing anger arising in this body.
It feels a bit like disassociating, but in a healthy way.
It's not disassociating, it's reassociating with the truth.
Yeah.
There is a line in the text that I think summarizes this perfectly. It says, what I am losing is me, and what is coming is also me.
Wait, run that by me again. What I'm losing is me.
And what is coming is also me. It is the ultimate comfort of non-duality. If everything is Brahman, if everything is that one consciousness, then you cannot really lose anything. You are just changing form.
The wave crashes, but the water remains.
Exactly. You are losing the form, but you are keeping the substance.
It is a really beautiful perspective. It takes the sharp edge off of mortality. It makes it feel less like walking off a cliff and more like a I don't know, a wardrobe change?
A wardrobe change is a really great way to put it. And it leaves us with a very provocative challenge for you, the listener, something you can actually try in the real world.
Oh, right, the shadow. This part completely tripped me out.
The shadow. The source ends with this thought experiment regarding your own shadow. It asks, can you reach a point where you realize even your physical body is just like your shadow?
Which sounds strange at first.
Yeah.
We treat our bodies very differently than our shadows.
But think about it. If you are walking down the street and you see your shadow on the ground, do you worry if a car drives over it?
No.
Do you scream if the sun goes behind a cloud and the shadow disappears?
No, I know I'm still here.
Exactly. You know, the shadow is just a projection, and the real you is perfectly safe. The challenge the source offers is, can you view your body with that exact same level of detachment?
So looking in the mirror and seeing a shadow.
Yes. If you can look in the mirror and realize that the face you see is just the shadow, it's just a projection in this dimension, and that the real you is the space witnessing it, then the fear of death just vanishes.
Wow.
Because shadows can disappear, but the light that casts them remains.
That is heavy, but also kind of light at the same time.
That is the paradox of it all.
So that is the homework for you, deep divers. Next time you are brushing your teeth, look in the mirror. Ask yourself, am I looking at the wall? Am I looking at the shadow? Or can I try to see the space?
It changes everything once you do.
That is it for this deep dive into the Witness Diary. A heavy topic, but hopefully we made the exit sign look a little brighter.
Keep witnessing out there.
See you next time.